Right then, welcome to Godzilla Sundays, and today again we will be discussing an unmade or unused kaiju from the unmade 1992 Godzilla film Godzilla vs. Gigamoth. Now this was a film that was supposed to come out in the Heisei era of Godzilla films, and originally Gigamoth was designed as essentially the evil twin of Mothra. And from the design, clearly this is not an identical twin. Gigamoth was a larvae whom hatched from exactly the same egg as a Mothra. And what happened was Gigamoth was mutated and malformed by radiation, hence the complete change and redesign. It's a good justification for a redesign of a Godzilla character being what Godzilla stems from and how it is developed and what it essentially represents moving forwards. Once Gigamoth hatched, it fled the contaminated island on the South Seas that it had hatched on. Now, due to the radiation that malformed the Mothra creature, Godzilla became attracted to it. Obviously, Godzilla feeds on radiation, so it tracked it down, and they started a fight near a Kanto power plant. In the unused script, a woman named Mana teleports inside Gigamoth and decides to take control of its body. Mana commands Gigamoth to fire an acidic mist which corrodes everything in the area and burns Godzilla's skin. Gigamoth then webs up Godzilla and pushes him out into the sea. From there, Gigamoth goes into the power plant and encases itself into a cocoon, seemingly trying to obtain energy from the power plant while it transforms, not too dissimilar from the Mutos in the recent Godzilla Monsterverse film. Once Gigamoth has cocooned itself, Mana stops controlling it. From here, immediately the self-defense force mobilizes a brand new squad of maser cannons. The maser cannons fire a freezing beam at the cocoon. The plan ultimately fails because Gigamoth comes out of the cocoon in its adult form, however, not completing its metamorphosis. Unfortunately, Gigamoth didn't have enough time to bring its wings to full maturity, so it wasn't actually able to fly. From there, it then proceeds to go to Tokyo. And then, of course, Godzilla tracks Gigamoth down for a second time in Atami, and he fires his atomic breath at Gigamoth. This, amazingly, doesn't actually damage the massive moth-like kaiju, but rather, Gigamoth absorbs the nuclear energy, making its wings fully developed. And again, in the script, Murakami realizes that Gigamoth must have formed from an extreme exposure to radiation and believes that he could develop an antibody bacteria which could separate the radiation from the mutant bacteria in the cell structure and neutralize Gigamoth's powers. Mana, however, interrupts Murakami's study and merges Murakami with Mothra, while merging herself with Gigamoth. From here, however, Mothra refuses to respond to any of Murakami's commands, and the two unmerge. Murakami then finishes the antibody bacteria in an effort to obviously aid Godzilla and save Earth. However, whilst this is going on in the Fuji area, Gigamoth had laid a few giant eggs of its own, much like a Mothra would have done, and soon Godzilla appears attracted by the Gigamoth's radioactivity. He prepares to fight Gigamoth again, but before they can fight, a fleet of jets appear and unload tens of rockets which contain Murakami's recently finished antibody bacteria at the two kaiju. Godzilla is not affected by the rockets, amazingly, but Gigamoth is weakened and made very vulnerable by the bacteria. From here, Mothra arrives, merged with Mana, ready to battle Godzilla. Mothra fires poisonous pollen, which paralyzes Godzilla just as Godzilla fires his atomic breath and hits Mothra, of course, sending her to the ground. Mothra and Gigamoth make eye contact, and Mothra goes right into Gigamoth's horn, making her bleed, which dissolves Gigamoth and its eggs. Mana hoped that Mothra contained a bit of the mutated bacteria which would create a new creature which would be unaffected by Murakami's antibodies. Her plan works as the two are covered by a bright light from which Mothra's true form comes out of. Mana then stops controlling Mothra and appears in front of Murakami for the final time. Murakami uses this opportunity to confess his love for her and asks that she let them both join with Mothra. Mana refuses, but tells him he will meet someone like her soon. So a quite out of place love story thrown into this particular Godzilla film here. As Man emerges with Mothra once more and proceeds to cocoon Godzilla, Mothra then grabs the cocoon and dives into the sea, taking Godzilla along with her. Shortly afterwards, a search of the ocean is conducted, at which neither monster is found and both are presumed dead. Now, interestingly enough, and you probably noticed some similarities here, is that actually Gigamoth was a prototype for Batra. Yes, the big bad Mothra villain Batra stemmed from an evil twin version of Mothra. Like I say, this is a somewhat out of place film in the Godzilla universe with the quite strange love story side plot here, but on a whole, it's not actually a bad story, and the addition of Gigamoth in the Godzilla universe, I think personally, would have made quite a good kaiju to add to the whole mythos. But of course, guys, what do you think of Gigamoth, and what did you think of the unused plot? Please do let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more if you liked what you saw. I've been Mr. H. Until next time, I will catch you in the comment section.